We're going to start with Kellen Olson with Arizona Sports.
Hey, Monty, I know each one's been an important guy for you guys this year. And just looking at Chris's status, how much does it help you to have a veteran like each one who's always staying ready?
Yeah, I mean, the value is indescribable. You know what I mean? To have a guy, not only the production on the floor, his steadiness on the floor, but the way he carries himself when he's not playing. And, you know, case in point, that last San Antonio game, he hadn't played in a while, and he steps out there and plays like he's been in the rotation for a few weeks. So, you know, if we're in a situation where Chris can't play, we feel comfortable putting Etuan out there on the floor. We can go Book at the point some, Cam at the point, Cam at the two. There's a number of options that we have, but having Etuan and also JC to play in that guard spot is something that we feel like is an advantage for us as far as depth is concerned.
Next up is Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic, and then Sierra Santos.
Yeah, Coach, just a couple of things. Just one quick housekeeping. I know Chris probably isn't back, but I'm just going to ask anyway. Has he been able to rejoin you guys yet?
No.
Okay. Secondly, in regards to trying to, you know, with this Clippers Jazz that could end tonight, how much is the preparation been split, trying to determine whether you play one or the other, or how has that worked? Because the series could be over now, or it could be over Sunday, and then you'd have that same scenario where you had a day or so to know that this is exactly who you're going to play.
I mean, we've split time on both teams. Just talking about the differences between both. There's some similarities in that they have guards who dominate the ball, that kind of thing. They have bigs that put pressure on the rim. And the one difference is the Clippers tend to switch more than the Jazz, and so you have to differentiate between those concepts. But our guys, we've talked about this being an opportunity. It's a privilege for us to be in this position. So it's a little more work, but we've worked for this opportunity. So we don't see it as a bad thing. We've been able to get into the gym and practice. And today we got up and down, played 5-on-5, had a spirited scrimmage, and we were able to, work on us and talk about both of the teams that we could play.
Next is Sierra Santos with Fox 10, followed by Nick King.
Kind of in that similar vein, Monty, all the eyes in the valley are going to be on that game tonight. How do you like to watch the games? Are you sitting there with your assistants? Are you making notes? How do you watch the game when you're trying to prepare and anticipate?
I mean, I watch, part of me watches as a fan, a small part, because you get caught up in time, score, and situation. But even saying time, score, and situation, that's more of a coaching thing than it is a fan thing. But I'm watching rotations. I'm watching adjustments out of a timeout. I'm watching if there's a play that, we run a certain play that's similar to what I'm seeing on the floor. You watch to see how a team guards it. And yeah, I'm taking notes, just getting ready for who we may play. I'm not watching with the coaches right now. We watch enough film together. We typically take the game that was just played and we'll come in early the next day and watch that game as a staff to kind of get more eyes on it. And somebody may see something that another coach didn't see, and we'll just talk about those situations. So you're always watching to try to gain an edge for your team. And in this case, it's a pretty cool thing to be able to watch both teams. And I'm thankful for that DVR thing that I have, because I can rewind on the fly. And I rewind enough where I don't have to watch the halftime stuff. I can shoot right through that and go right to the game. That's a little bit too much information, but that's what I do.
Next up is Nick King with Channel 3, Channel 5, and then Cody Cunningham.
I appreciate that behind the scenes, Monty. You were talking the other day about how every team in the playoffs this year, at this point of the season, is going through some kind of uncertainty, whether it's injury related or otherwise. The fact that you guys had that already in the playoffs with Chris Paul, do you think that can be a benefit right now?
I think so. I think having gone through it right out the gate, game one, we've already been in this situation. The other benefit is having the time off to regroup and talk about what may happen, what may not happen. We still don't know, but we have a chance to plan both ways. But to your point, our team has dealt with it not only in the regular season, but in the playoffs, which is a lot tougher because every possession, every game, stakes are so much higher. So I think it is an advantage for us and for our team to have dealt with different obstacles over the course of the playoffs.
Next is Cody Cunningham with Suns.com, followed by Gina Mizell.
Hey, Monty, you've mentioned before that this team reminds you of a bunch of cousins with, how much they enjoy being around each other. Just even looking back to your playing career, just how big of an impact does that make on the court when you're able to play with your friends rather than, just another teammate, just in terms of, trusting each other and celebrating each other out there?
Yeah, I think in the tough moments, you bounce back quicker. Something is said that may get a bit below the belt or be a bit touchy because you're out there with a guy that you care about and have spent so much time with. You snap back into the objective at hand and you don't hang on to it as long. And I think, this year has brought us closer because we've gone through so much, as I've talked about, from COVID to injuries to, the way we finished the season and overcoming so much. They've done it together and we haven't been able to be out and about in the public. We've just been around each other a lot, on the plane, on the bus, in the gym. And so I think that helps you on the floor when you have those moments where your poise and mental stamina is a premium. You're doing it with guys you really care about and you've already spent a ton of time with.
Final two questions are Gina Mizell with Suns.com and Dwayne Rankin.
Hey, Monty, when you talk about the stakes right now, we've heard you say so many times that everything counts. And I think back to when those buckets were in the lockers last season and things like that. So just how key is that concept been to building this team into what it is, and how crucial is just remembering that going to be in this round with a finals berth on the line?
Yeah, we talked about it today. The little things that you may not think make the difference until you get into that situation and you're like, man, I'm thinking to yourself, I'm glad we went over that, or I'm glad we talked about that. And I think what helps us is having the veterans around who've been in those situations and they understand why we went over a drill, why we had to watch, that much film. And then the everything counts, reps were moved out, all that stuff. It could be a goofy saying until you end up in that situation. And then you're like, wow, I'm glad we went over that space. At the same time, you try not to overdo it with the information and overcoach. But I think the guys know, our staff, we just want to help them help us so that we all can be successful. So all of that stuff from last year to this year, and hopefully the things we do going forward, plays a role in us having success. And the one thing I don't want to do is just do it for doing its sake, just to look like a coach. That's something that I think about a ton.
Final question is Dwayne Rankin.
Coach, I know you got plenty on your radar, so you may not even be watching this closely, but obviously two of your close friends, Doc and Nate, going at it in the conference semis. Have you even had a chance to peek at that? And if you have, what's that been like seeing two guys that's so close and instrumental in your career battling it out for a spot in the conference finals?
Yeah, it's a weird thing, man. I don't even know how to process that, to be honest with you. I watch those games and I see them both going through the angst of winning and losing, and I tend to just watch it to learn because I love them both. They're both mentors, big brothers for me. Doc was one of the first people that texted me after we won in Denver. Nate's been shooting me texts throughout the playoffs when we win or they win. So it's strange. That's the only way that I can describe it because I love them both so much. They've meant so much to my career, to my life, to my family. And so it's a tough one to watch them. You know, one's going to win, one's going to lose. And, you know, I care about them both. And before I go, I'd like to send our prayers and thoughts and condolences. There was a shooting yesterday in the Valley. And that kind of violence is senseless. And even though we're in the playoffs and we want to win so badly, when I read about that yesterday, I felt so badly for the families whose lives were changed in an instance. And as badly as we want to win as an organization, as a man, I can't sit here and do media and not take a second to wish those families peace and comfort during such a tough time. And I hope the people that are close to them in their lives can help them through this process, because when you've been there and your life has changed that quickly, it's hard. And so I just want those families to know that the sons are praying for them, our thoughts are with them, and if we can do anything to be a benefit to them, we'll do what we can.
Thank you very much for your time, Coach.